saved my soul. Lord, I thank you every day, Lord. Sometimes I wake a little bit, Lord. Lord, I just want to say thank you right now. Lord, I want to say thank you right now. Oh, I could have been dead. Oh, but you saved my soul. You saw me from my golden morning to keep on rolling. Lord, I just want to thank you right now. Lord, I thank you right now.
But I just thank God this morning for the opportunity to be in the house of the Lord. Give it honor to the angel of this house, Reverend Kane, to all the other ministers that are present as well. To my pastor, Reverend Dr. Hale, and our First Lady, Sister May Hale. And man, I thank God for them and making adjustments to their schedule. This is their 40th wedding anniversary. 40th anniversary, when they said about 2 weeks ago that they were going to be here instead of being in Tennessee. I think they're going to adjust their schedule so that they go later this week. Is that correct? Okay. Right. Also, we want to recognize the presence of my family. I thank God for my father being here. He adjusted his schedule so that he could make it today. It's been a while since he's been able to be in the house of the Lord, so we're glad to have him with us. As always, that support me. Would all my family stand, please? All right. Amen. If you have your Bibles, if you would go to the Old Testament, the book of Genesis, so you don't have to go very far to Genesis, and once you have it, you go to the 9th chapter. Have it, so we'll stay on that. That's Genesis 9, and we can look at verse 18. We have it. Genesis 9:18. Again, that's Genesis 9:18. Wow. You have to say amen. And it reads this. Now the sons of Noah who went out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah. From these the whole earth was populated. And Noah began to be a farmer, and he planted a vineyard. Then he drank of the wine and was drunk, and became uncovered in his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his 2 brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. So Noah awoke from his wine, and he knew what his youngest son had done to him. Then he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants he shall be to his brother. And he said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. May God enlarge Japheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years. So all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. The word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to share your word once more. Just thank you, Lord, for this day. Lord, we thank you for being my life. Lord, we thank you for being a marriage chapel. Lord, I ask you to increase with your Holy Spirit, Lord. Let the words of my mouth be acceptable in thy sight. O Lord, my strength and my redeemer.
Amen.
I want you to pray with me on the topic this morning of a woke man in crisis. The phrase or the hashtag "Stay Woke" is perhaps one of the most commonly used and sometimes abused phrases in our culture and on social media. We hear the phrase "Stay Woke" in the hook of Childish Gambino's Red Phone. Erykah Badu included the phrase in her 2008 song entitled "Master Teacher." There is much debate as to when this phrase first made its debut in the African American vernacular English. Some suggest that it may have been a fiery black preacher by the name of Nat Turner who used this phrase as he led the most successful slave rebellion in American history. Some say that it was Malcolm X when he advocated for the black man's right to be respected as a human being by any means necessary. Still others credit this phrase to Jesse Jackson when he encouraged Americans to keep hope alive at the 1988 Democratic National Convention. After the 2013 acquittal of George Zimmerman for the murder of Trayvon Martin and the growth of the Black Lives Matter movement, posts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and other social media began to include the hashtag #StayWoke. Anytime there's a discussion of police brutality, systematic racism, the prison industrial complex, affirmative action, and other issues that plague the black community, the word "stay woke" will be used. The phrase is used to encourage us to question the status quo and to somehow work to change unjust policies and practices. A person who is considered to be woke is well aware of the political and social injustices that plague our communities. A woke man or woman often carries themselves in a manner that is different from the dominant culture. A woke man does not follow the social norms and trends of the day. Woke men are sometimes mocked and criticized for having unusual perspectives and unpopular political stances. In spite of all the criticism and disapproval that a woke man receives, he remains consistent in his views and beliefs. I believe that we need some woke men in the church today.
All right.
The church needs some woke men who will lead by their actions.
Well,
The church needs some woke men that will be doers of the word and not just hearers.
Right.
The church needs some woke men who will live the word of God.
Amen.
The church needs some woke men who will speak truth to power.
yeah.
The church needs some woke men who will live with honesty and integrity. The
Yeah.
church needs some woke men who will stand up and be examples for those who are unsaved.
Yeah.
The church needs some woke men who will be examples for those who are still babes in Christ.
Yeah.
In our text this morning, I believe that we find a biblical example of a woke man.
Well,
I would argue that Brother Noah is an example of a woke man. Noah was not like most men in society at that time. During the days of Noah, God had started to regret that he had ever made mankind. Genesis 6 and 5 tells us that man had become wicked and evil, and that he was big and bad enough to do everything that he could do. Every thought that man had was about doing evil. Noah lived in a world that was full of violence, full of murderers, full of robbers, liars, backstabbers, gamblers, and midnight ramblers. God had become so disappointed with mankind that he decided that he would wipe away mankind and all the beasts from the face of the earth. However, God looks down and sees one man who he finds favor and grace in the sight of.
all right.
That man is Noah.
Yeah.
Genesis 6 and 9, Noah is described as a righteous, just, and blameless man. God tells Noah of his plan to destroy the earth with a flood. Noah then receives specific instructions from God on how to build an ark that will protect him and his family during the flood. He does exactly as God commands and begins to build the ark. I can imagine that some people are asking him, what in the world is that you building?
Well,
What makes you think it's going to rain? Why do you think you should be on that ark? Are you crazy? You got lion sockets and bears all on the boat. Have you lost your mind?
well,
In spite of the criticism that Noah was receiving, he continued to do as God had commanded. When the time comes, Noah takes his family into the ark as he's told. The old folks used to say they knocked on the windows. They knocked on the doors.
Well.
I asked old Noah, can he check it in?
Right.
Noah cried out, I'm sorry, my friend. God's got the key and you can't get in. For 40 days and 40 nights, God sent rain upon the earth, causing it to flood. God keeps Noah and his family safe inside of the ark until the flood waters have subsided. In our text, we find Noah in a situation that I believe is uncharacteristic of a woke man. I would argue that he's a woke man in crisis.
well,
In verse 20 of the text, we find that he has a new occupation as a farmer. As a farmer, he plants a vineyard filled with a variety of grapes, muscadines, and scuppernongers. When our sanctified imagination drink, Noah, he takes some of the fruit from the vineyard and places it into a barrel with a little water and sugar. While the fruit is in the barrel, it goes through a process called fermentation until it becomes wine. Noah begins to sip on this wine until it gets strong. Noah gets lit. Noah gets to the point where he's shocked and wasted. Noah gets so drunk that he's drunker than coup de grace. Noah gets so drunk that he gets naked. Noah's son Ham sees his father naked and runs to tell his brother Shem and Japheth. There are some biblical scholars who believe that it's actually Noah's grandson Canaan who sees Noah naked and then tells his father Ham, who in turn tells Sam and Japheth. Sam and Japheth place a garment upon their shoulders and they walk backwards to cover their father. Ham does not do anything to care for his father in this crisis situation. But Noah sobers up and gets over his hangover. He realizes that Ham failed to respond appropriately to this crisis situation. He then curses Canaan, Ham's son, because of Ham's failure to react. However, he blesses Shem and Japheth. As I read through the text, Reverend Cain, I began to take issue with Brother Noah. I began to ask Noah, how can you get drunk? How can a righteous man like Noah get drunk? How can a man God handpicked to be delivered from the flood get drunk? How can a man God kept for 40 rainy days and 40 nights get drunk? How can a man God has made a covenant with get drunk? As I reflected and meditated on the text, I came to the conclusion that we will all endure a crisis situation. That leads me to my first point this morning. All men will face a crisis situation. At some point in our lives, we will all endure a crisis situation. Sometimes the crisis we face is due to no fault of our own. In the case of Noah, the crisis occurs as a result of his failure to make the appropriate decisions. The more I reflect on the text, I cannot help but become convicted of my own shortcomings and sins. There have been some people that have thought that they could talk to me any kind of way because of my seemingly quiet and tolerant persona. There have been some that thought they could mistreat me because I'm short, fat, and black. But they didn't know that I had a fleshly side and some fleshly tendencies. I won't give you all the details as to what happened, but all I can say is if it had not been for the Lord, if it had not been for the Holy Ghost. Matthew 26 and 41 tells us the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Paul reminds us in Romans 3 and 23 that all have sinned and come short of God's glory. We have to acknowledge our sins before we try to tell someone about their sins. Matthew 19 and 26 reminds us that with God all things are possible. So no matter what crisis a man endures, God has the ability to bring us through it. As Christian men, we're called to a higher standard of living. Therefore, we can't respond to a crisis in any kind of way. That leads me to my second point. There must be an appropriate reaction during a crisis. As we endure crisis, we must have an appropriate response. In verse 25 of the text, we find that Noah's grandson Canaan is cursed because his father runs and tells his brother about the situation, but doesn't do anything about the situation. I believe that's a problem with many men in the church today and in our homes today. We run and tell somebody else about a problem rather than working to correct the problem. We need some men who are willing to do more than just show up at board meetings, PPR committee meetings, deacon board meetings, steward board meetings, and trustee board meetings, with the sole intention just to raise hell and not do nothing. As men, we've got to learn to take responsibility. Although it is Ham who failed to take responsibility, it is the grandson Canaan who ends up suffering because of his father's failure to take responsibility. As men, we have to remember that it isn't always about us and our egos. Sometimes it's about the people in our lives. Sometimes it's about the children. Sometimes it's about the spouse. Sometimes it's about the pastor. Sometimes it's about the grandchildren. We have to remember to take responsibility for our lives. If it's a self-inflicted crisis, we've got to be man enough to admit that we're wrong. We've got to stop blaming everybody for ourselves and for the crisis and the heartaches that we're enduring. Psalms 119 and 26 teaches us that we should confess our sins and ask God to teach us his ways. I believe that we wouldn't have so much hell in the church if men would stand up and take responsibility. I believe that we wouldn't have so much drama in our homes if men would stand up and take responsibility. I believe that some of the children might start getting some better grades if men would stand up and take responsibility. I believe we wouldn't have so many fatherless children if men would stand up and take responsibility. We wouldn't turn into drugs and gang life if men would stand up and take responsibility. I believe that our teenage girls would be so fast and hot if men would stand up and if men would stand up and take responsibility. Appropriate reactions can lead to divisions in our families and the church. In verse 25 and 27 of the text, we find Noah curses Canaan, the son of Ham. Noah blesses Shem and Japheth, but declares that Canaan will become a servant. As men, we have to be careful of the citizens that we make. We have to make sure they don't cause divisions. A few months ago, I had the opportunity to read an account of a man named Isaac Johnson. Isaac Johnson was born in 1844 to a white father and a slave mother near the banks of the Green River in Kentucky. Although it was unusual for that period, Mr. Johnson's father and mother lived together as if they were husband and wife. As the population begins to grow, it becomes unacceptable for Mr. Johnson's father to continue to live with a slave woman and their 4 children as a family unit. The father's desire for money and acceptance by the fellow plantation owners causes him to sell the then 7-year-old son along with his mother and siblings. The family members are not sold together to the same master. Instead, the family is broken up. This father allowed his desire for money and acceptance from people that really cared nothing about him to cause division in his family. Many men in our society have the same mentality as his father. Many men will allow a woman with no values and morals to cause division. If a woman doesn't help and encourage you to be a man, then she is a woman for you. Some men allow their love and desire for money to cause division in their families. Some men have fallen so much in love with money that it has started to interfere with their walk with Christ. A few days ago, one of my co-workers were discussing some advice they had been given by an educator who had fought a battle with cancer. The educator had once been an administrator, but decided to return to the classroom as he realized it was causing a division between his family. His advice had been to his fellow educators: those kids can wait, but your kids can't. As fathers and father figures, we must remember that there are some things we need to take care of at home. Before we go into a job or someone else's house to take care of business, we need to take care of some stuff at home. Jobs and material things can be replaced. Bonds between family members can't be replaced. Mark 8:36 says, "For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his soul?" For some of us, it may not be women or love of money that is causing the division within the problem, within the family. It may be a dependency on alcohol or drugs that's causing division. No matter what may be causing the division in our families or shifting our relationship away from God, we must remember that it's up to us to fix it. We must also remember that each day we're writing the chapters in the book of our lives. In verse 28 and 29 of the text, we read that Noah makes his transition at age 950. I believe the heartbreak here is that he had been a faithful servant of the Lord for some 600 years. Ironically, the text concludes with Noah getting drunk. I believe that it's truly tragic to serve the Lord and work in the church all your life, allow your final years and days to be blurred by a poor decision. A few days ago, as we were in revival, I received a text message with a link to a newspaper article about a 35-year-old man that I had once known. This young man had been arrested for attempted murder. This young man is the son of prominent parents who are lawyers and very well respected in their community. This young man and his siblings have been afforded the best academic and social experiences that were available. This young man had been active on his college campus and involved in community service and social activism. However, this young man's legacy and his service to the community will now be overlooked because of a poor decision. As men, we must remember what Solomon says in Proverbs 3:5-7. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not into thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. We must also remember what Paul says in Philippians 4:6. We've got to pray and let our requests be made known throughout every situation. As Christian men, we're called to be sober-minded and exercise self-control. So my brothers, we've got to have the right reaction to a crisis. Our final point this morning is God is able to cover a crisis. When a woke man enters a crisis, he has room that all men will face crisis situations. Secondly, a woke man has to have an appropriate reaction during the crisis. Finally, my brothers and sisters, we must recognize that God is able to cover in the midst of crisis. In verse 23 of the text, we find Shem and Japheth taking a garment to cover their father's nakedness. As they cover their father's nakedness, they walk backwards in such a way that they don't see their father's nakedness. My exegesis of the text, Dr. Hale, I believe that these sons walked backwards not simply because it was unacceptable for them to see their father naked, but because it pained them to see their father in this condition. I believe that seeing their father in this condition damaged their spirits and their perception of Noah. You see, these sons had grown up as witnesses to Noah's fear of God. They remember how God had kept Noah in the midst of the flood. They remember how Noah had built an altar and made a burnt offering after God delivered them from the ark. These sons remember how God had placed a rainbow in the sky as a symbol of his covenant with all living creatures on the earth.
Yeah.
I believe these sons also reflected back on how Noah had been a loving husband to his wife.
Well.
They reflect on how he had nurtured and instilled in them a value and a love for God. I believe their minds run back to how he had been a man who, in spite of criticism, was still worthy of the respect of his neighbors.
Well.
I believe these sons remember their various father-son outings. I believe they remember how he warned them of the danger of using intoxicating drinks as a beverage. I believe they remember how Noah had taught them that they couldn't do everything that they saw the world doing.
Well.
At this point, I believe they may have even started to think that their dad was a hypocrite.
Well.
In spite of whatever it is that these boys may be feeling, they proceed to cover their fathers with compassion.
Well.
As I reflect on Sam and Japhet's compassion, I could not help think about God's compassion toward us. I can help think about God's faithfulness toward us.
Well.
I could not help but think about God's mercy toward us. You see, His mercies are new every morning.
Amen.
I could not help but think about God's convenient grace that says He was caring for me when I couldn't care for myself.
All right. Well.
I can help but think about God's justifying grace that forgives our sins and shortcomings.
Well.
I can help but think about His perfecting grace that helps us to grow and mature in our walk with the Lord.
Well.
I believe God looked down on the earth once more and saw that His people had turned away from Him.
Yeah.
I believe God looked down and decided that He had to send down someone to save mankind.
Yeah.
I can hear Noah saying, "Send me, Lord, I'll go."
Yeah.
But God said, "No, I can't send you this time."
Yeah.
See, you had a problem with alcohol. And if I send you this time, you might get caught up at the liquor house.
Yeah.
I can hear Moses saying, "Send me, Lord, I'll go." But I can hear God say, "No, I can't send you this time."
Yeah.
Because the folks are being mistreated.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to kill somebody.
Yeah.
I can't send you this time.
Yeah.
I can hear Jacob saying, "Send me, Lord, I'll go."
Yeah.
God said, "No, I can't send you this time." You
Yeah.
got a habit of cheating and tricking folks.
Amen.
Why don't you just tell us no lies? I can't send you this time. I hear Samson and David saying, "Send us, we'll go." But God said, "No, I can't send y'all this time." See, you both have problems with women. I send y'all this time. I saying, "Send me out, go." God said, "No, I can't send you this time." You're worse than your father when it came to me. If I send you, you might get caught up at the strip club of the prophet. I can hear Jonah saying, "Send me out, go." But God said, "No, I can't send you somebody who run away from their duties. I can't send you this time." God said, "I can't send alcoholics to save alcoholics. I can't send liars to save liars. I can't send womanizers to save womanizers. I can't send cowards to save cowards." I heard God say, "I have to go down for myself." And I'll go down. Jesus came down through some 42 generations. Where predicted that He would never amount to anything. See, they didn't know that He was human and divine. Turned water into wine. Healed the sick and raised the dead. Gave sight to the blind. Stood up for the marginalized in society. One day He was led up a hill called Calvary. They stretched Him wide and hung Him high. They pierced Him in His side. They drove nails in His hands. He was wounded by our transgression and bruised by our iniquities. He died on Calvary. He died for you and me. And Joseph said, "But early." He got up with all power in His hand. Power in His hand. He's got power to cover crisis in your life. He's got power to cover crisis in your home. He's got power to cover crisis in broken families. He's got power to cover crisis in your job. He's got power to cover crisis in poor health. He's got power to cover crisis of abuse and misuse. How to cover crisis of drug addiction and alcohol addiction. He's got power to cover financial hardships. He's got power to cover crisis at the White House and your place. Hands in His hands, and He'll work it out. Our writer said, Jesus is a way maker. He's a way maker. He made a way for me when my life was dark and grim. Jesus heard and He answered my prayer. One day He made a way for me. One day the sun refused to slide into this sinful life of mine. I prayed both day and night. One day He made a way
controlling my way.